He didn't have shoes. He didn't have a real ball. What he had was a talent so rare, it would eventually make kings, presidents, and popes stop what they were doing just to watch him play. This is the story of a boy from a small Brazilian town who became something bigger than football itself. This is the story of Pele. Edson Arantes do Nascimento was born on October 23, 1940, in Três Corações, a small town in Minas Gerais, Brazil. He was named after the American inventor Thomas Edison. His parents hoped he'd grow up to do something extraordinary. They had no idea how right they'd be. His father, João Ramos do Nascimento, known as Dondinho, was a footballer himself, though injuries cut his career short and kept the family in poverty. Young Edson grew up in Bauru, in a poor neighborhood where the family often couldn't afford basic necessities, let alone a real football. So he improvised, stuffing socks with newspaper to build his own ball, playing barefoot in the streets. It was on those streets that he earned the nickname that would echo around the world for the next 8 decades, Pele. The origin of the name was never entirely clear. Some accounts trace it to childhood mispronunciations, but the boy hated it at first. He'd eventually turn it into the most recognized name in sports history. At just 15 years old, Pele signed with Santos FC, a club on the coast of São Paulo state. Almost immediately, it was clear this wasn't an ordinary teenager. Within a year, he was playing first-team football. Within 2, he was the top scorer in the entire league. Santos would become the stage for the most prolific goal-scoring career football has ever witnessed. Over 600 goals for the club alone across nearly 2 decades, alongside multiple state and national titles and continental championships, including the Copa Libertadores and Intercontinental Cup. In 1958, Brazil traveled to Sweden for the World Cup and brought with them a teenager barely anyone outside Brazil had heard of. Pele nearly missed the tournament through injury, but once fit, he became unstoppable. He scored a hat trick in the semi-final against France, and then in the final against the host nation Sweden, he scored twice, including a goal where he lifted the ball over a defender's head before volleying it in. A piece of skill still replayed today. Brazil won the World Cup for the first time in their history. Pele was 17 years old. He collapsed in tears on the pitch, overwhelmed. Overnight, a boy from a poor Brazilian town became a global phenomenon. Brazil defended their title in Chile in 1962, but Pele's tournament ended early after a serious muscle injury in the second match. Still, he was part of the winning squad, a second World Cup medal by the age of 21. 1966 in England, however, was brutal. Pele was repeatedly and violently fouled by opposing defenders with little protection from referees. Brazil crashed out in the group stage, and a frustrated Pele briefly considered walking away from international football altogether. It would take everything he had to come back for one final World Cup and turn it into his masterpiece. Mexico, 1970. Many consider the Brazil squad that took the field that summer the greatest football team ever assembled, and Pele was its heartbeat. Playing alongside stars like Jairzinho, Gerson, Rivellino, and Tostão, Brazil played a version of football so fluid, so joyful, it earned a nickname of its own, the Beautiful Game. Pele scored crucial goals throughout the tournament, but it was the final against Italy that sealed his legend forever. Brazil won 4-1, and Pele opened the scoring with a towering header. He lifted his 3rd World Cup trophy at age 29, a record that still stands today, the only player in history to win 3 FIFA World Cups. On November 19, 1969, in front of nearly 100,000 fans at the Maracanã Stadium in Rio de Janeiro, Pele scored what is widely regarded as his 1,000th career goal, a penalty kick that turned into one of the most celebrated moments in football history. The crowd stormed the pitch. It became known simply as O Milésimo, the 1,000th. By the time his career ended, Pele's total goal tally across official matches, friendlies, and tours was reported by some record-keeping bodies at well over 1,000, with figures depending on which matches are counted among the highest in the sport's history. Pele retired from Santos in 1974, but football wasn't done with him yet. In 1975, he signed a groundbreaking contract with the New York Cosmos of the North American Soccer League, a deal that stunned the sports world and put American soccer on the map for the first time. Stadiums that once drew a few thousand fans suddenly sold out. Pele didn't just play in America, He sold the sport itself to an entire continent that barely knew it existed. He helped the Cosmos win the league title in 1977, then played his final professional match that same year, fittingly an exhibition between the Cosmos and his old club, Santos. Retirement didn't slow Pelé down. He became a global ambassador for the sport, working with UNICEF, later serving as a United Nations ambassador for ecology and the environment, and as a UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador. He briefly served as Brazil's extraordinary minister for sport. He appeared in films, wrote best-selling autobiographies, and remained the face of football promotion worldwide for decades. He also faced personal struggles, a public divorce, business ventures that didn't always succeed, and in his later years, a long battle with cancer that gradually became public knowledge as fans around the world followed his health with concern. On December 29, 2022, Pelé passed away in São Paulo at the age of 82. Tributes poured in from every corner of the football world. Players, presidents, and fans who had never seen him play live, but grew up idolizing the legend of what he represented. Stadiums held moments of silence. Brazil observed days of national mourning. The world had lost the man many still call the greatest player who ever lived. Numbers alone can't capture what Pelé meant to football. He didn't just win, he changed how the world saw the sport. He turned football into art. He gave a poor country pride on the world stage. He gave millions of children around the world a reason to believe that where you start doesn't determine where you finish. Decades later, the debate over the greatest player of all time still rages. Pelé, Maradona, Messi, Ronaldo. But no matter where anyone lands, one thing is agreed on everywhere. Without Pelé, the game we love today would not exist in the same form. They called him O Rei, the King. And more than 60 years after that barefoot boy first touched a ball in the streets of Bauru, his crown still hasn't been claimed by anyone else. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Peak Sports for more football documentaries and legendary stories from the history of the beautiful game.